chapter clicked in to College Volleyball Weekly on Viral Volley Media. Now here's your host, Rob on mic.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to, I believe, episode 241 of College Volleyball Weekly Men's Top 20. I'm Rob Aspero, and on screen are the guys who've dominated the former CVW crew of Theo, Dan, Jay, and Brad. It's Mark Pavlik and John Hawks who've just taken over. It is I don't want to say the old guy takeover. It's just the new school is back in. So now they weren't available this week, but I had them ready on an interview this morning. So I'm looking forward to talking men's volleyball, but I'm going to lie because what just happened was an amazing couple of weeks of NCAA women's volleyball, which is so good for all of volleyball. And that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about because Coach Mark Pavlik is going to be heading out here soon to a national championship welcome celebration just outside his office there at Penn State. So let's start with that. A lot of historic things. I don't even know where to start because there's so much, but we'll let Mark, since it's your home school, talk about what happened this last weekend.
Oh, what an amazing run by Katie and her crew. I mean, I don't watch a ton of women's volleyball. Certainly, I try to see my wife's matches every weekend, but to me, the physicality level of certainly the top teams in Division One, top teams in two, the top teams in three are it's just exploding. We talked a little bit about trying to, become bigger, stronger, faster as in the men's game. Well, I think the women are doing that, and they're starting to run some true physical offense. And it seemed to me that over the weekend and in some of the regional finals that they who abdicate their physicality first end up losing that point. And that was the one thing with Katie's group. They swung it all. So you could say that about, all the Final Four teams. Danny Fisher's team at Pitt. She's one of the most physical teams, top to bottom, that I can remember seeing. John Cook's team at Nebraska, same thing, and Danny's team at Louisville. My goodness, they got people that can rip the ball. And they're playing a brand of volleyball that should get people excited. It's no longer, well, let's give it to the other team to see if they make the error first. It's let's put this thing away and move on to the next point. Yeah. A lot of fun. I'm so proud of Katie and the effort that they put in, especially with her personal battles with the stage 2 breast cancer that she's been undergoing. If you know her, she's a fighter. She's so full of love. One of my favorites, and I am so proud of the job that they did.
Yeah. Hawks, I know you're watching. We were chatting a little bit earlier this morning.
Yeah, no, it was great volleyball, and I mean that second set in yesterday was I thought Louisville was dead in the water, and they made just an incredible run. And the match that Charity Looper had, she played great and stepped up with the loss of Anna DeBeer, which I thought was a massive loss for that team. And just I think so sad because you get, she's a fourth year player, right? Or fifth year?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the opportunity to play in front of her fans and on her home court in a championship match. I mean, just I felt terrible for her. And Danny as well. You get to that moment and to have that happen in the fourth set the night before was such a bummer. And but I think just Pav, you touched on Nebraska and Pitt. I mean, what fantastic seasons they had, and the success that Dan's had at Pitt over the last 4 or 5 years has been certainly noticed by the country. So, congrats to all those teams. I mean, getting there is so hard, and I think Pav, we know how tough it is to win, and I watched those coaches make decisions, and they all did amazing things. And I know they're going to be up at night for a long time, Dan and John anyway, trying to figure out, okay, if I did this, what would happen? And that's the tough thing about our coaching positions is that we're constantly second guessing ourselves and we're not sleeping and it's brutal. But congrats to Katie and her staff and the amazing job they did. I know she had a new addition to her staff with Michael, right?
Mike Henchy.
Yeah. So yeah, just how awesome, that you can put it all together and come out on top and celebrate with confetti like that. I mean, it's something we all want.
Oh, without a doubt. There's so many things that just numbers wise, but one of the things that's been spoken of a lot is first women's head coach. Well, actually, it's all women's head coach final. So you had your first women's head coach to win a national championship with Katie Schumacher Colley. And of course, she's going through cancer treatment as well. And having their team perform beyond themselves was the theme that I captured from watching all the matches from there on. But you could see the inspired play in Louisville, as Hawks, you said, Anna DeBeer, saw her playing way back in the Durango Fall Classic High School days with Assumption High School. She was special then. She's even more special now, and she'll continue to ascend in her pro career should she continue to pursue that route. So exciting stuff. What I wanted to point out also was the amount of viewership. Louisville versus Pitt. These are the only numbers that are available as of our recording, but Louisville Pitt had 1 million viewers on ESPN. Penn State, Nebraska had 1.2 million viewers, and that marks a record viewership. Uh,
Man.
then you add in the attendance records that are broken. The semis, I have the number here. National semi attendance, new record, 21,726,000 in-house. For the championship match, topped it by just a mere over 100 more, 21,860. And that place was rocking and electric. And you couldn't have asked for a more better atmosphere to have volleyball in. Uh, I'm assuming that the viewership for the finals is going to blow out what was in the semis, because if the pattern continues to go, it will probably double what we saw in the semis. So we're looking at 2 million viewers on ABC now, because it's on ABC and all the ESPN family of networks. So
And I think the good thing about that is the production of the game, I thought was fairly good.
yeah,
I think the real pressure is now going to be brought on to how many announcing teams can develop into great storytellers. I think if the growth of the production and the announcing crew can continue to rise, and we get more and more announcers out there that are excellent storytellers to the general fan that's going to tune in, that's caught this wave of inertia that everybody seems to have about volleyball, particularly women's volleyball. Can we get better and better stories being told about the matches that are being played? And I think one of the stories that has been missed, I haven't seen anybody mention it, but I remember when John won his first NCAA championship, there was a big story about how he was the first NCAA player to win, assistant coach to win, and head coach to win. Katie's the first NCAA women's player to win it and to coach and win it. And I've not seen that mentioned yet. Everything's been about the first woman to win it. Hey, she's the first player to come back and lead her alma mater to a championship, which I think is a great story in and of itself. So
we're going to give you credit, Pav. I'm going to clip this and put it on social.
Do that. I think that's a story in and of itself. And certainly we don't want to downgrade anything about the first woman, but hey, in this day and age, give an athlete credit, whether they're male or female. And that's where I think more stories that need to be told by the people that are going to be telling these stories to 1.2 million viewers. And John, I think how do we see this carrying on with the men's game, is this similar to what maybe has happened with NBA versus WNBA, that there's this growth and it just takes it?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, walking around the arena was, I mean, I was jumping from suite to suite to visit a bunch of people, and at one point you have to go down into the concourse and seeing the fans and the excitement that they all had was, I mean, that was incredible. So I was walking with a few men's coaches and was like, all we kept saying is like, man, how could we even tap into this a little bit? And I don't know. I hope so, Pav. You know, I watched yesterday with my two young girls that are 8 and 10, and they're part of that viewership. You know, that 1.2 that was just like, you know, I kept making them like, hey, watch this and watch that and watch this coach and watch these players. And my daughter's a little setter. She thinks she's a great setter. We'll see. Time will tell. But I was like, hey, watch these decisions and watch where they went to. And I think just that's what I mean, Pav. I hope that it gets like that for us. I mean, just how incredible for our game would that be?
I was in line to get my wife her Diet Mountain Dew as before the match, and behind me was a Pitt fan. And of course, I had Penn State logo on, and we started to discuss. Turns out I grew up not too far away from where he grew up, and we were talking about Pitt in the Pittsburgh area, adding men's volleyball, and his reaction was that would be so great for us. So hopefully, I think Rob, I think one of your posts said, or no, it was Vinny who posted, when anything good happens in the volleyball community, let's celebrate. And I think this women's season, Division I, Division II, Division III for sure, that I'm aware of, and this is not to slight, the JUCOs and the other divisions out there, the NAIA, but my God, the NCAA year was an exciting one.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah,
That was
and we have new leadership with USA Volleyball too, which obviously is a great thing that we all know and
Yeah, who's
can
that
celebrate.
Joker again?
Yeah, I don't know what's his last name. I can't remember.
Spira. Well, that's a great segue. I want to just get a final shout out though. Pav, you mentioned some of the broadcast teams, and College Volleyball Weekly contributor made a huge debut this weekend. That's Madison Fitzpatrick is her professional name. I know her as Mads, and she's the sideline reporter for the entire semis and finals. So super proud of her and where she's going in her broadcasting career. But shout out to Holly McPeak, Courtney Lyle, Katie George, Michaela Chesser, Emily Eamon. I know I'm forgetting some people on there. Paul Sunderland was on the earlier broadcast with some other people. Key Michaels. I mean, it was just a phenomenal broadcast team. And I love seeing that, as you were saying, the production quality of what was being streamed, because it helps you as a fan get so into it and follow these players when you do have those good storylines. So definitely a great call there, Pat. So, but on the segueing from Hawks' last comment about new leadership, that is where we are going, because a lot of movement this last summer, starting with this first piece, I believe, was the new USA Volleyball CEO and president. That would be, I forgot his name too. It's a hard one to remember. John Spira, former UCLA head coach, and John Hawks, close friend, longtime friend, as a matter of fact, and on the journey at least the coaching journey for the good part of his career. But wanted to get your thoughts on the change of leadership, because I really believe good things are coming down the pipe here. So let's start with you, Hawks.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously John's one of my best friends, and to see just the amount of heart and soul he put into all of his players and his staffs and the game itself, to see him be able to make that transition into leading USA Volleyball, I think is so exciting for me, and I think really even the rest of the country. I've talked to a ton of people. I connected through Denver on my way out, and I've got, Peter Vint and Doug Beal and a bunch of these people on my flight, and the feedback, and it was a ton of USA level folks, but the feedback from everybody was just how excited they were to listen to John and if you've listened to him speak publicly, he's always winging it. Number one, I know he's prepared for all these ones now, but he used to wing it and he could crush it. So the um the direction he's taken this, I think is just really exciting for everybody. And they were like a lot of people saying they were turning their Zooms off because they were just so happy they were tearing up. And um I don't know, we're just really excited about it. And I'm happy for him and his family to get to spend more time with them.
Yeah. Yep. All right, Pav.
I think he's the right guy for the right job at the right time. For the last three, actually, what, four quadrennials, right? From 12 to
Wow.
16, 16
That's
to
right.
20 to 24. He's been involved with understanding what goes on within USA Volleyball that really can affect our ability to win gold medals. And I think there's been some things that he has done as head coach of USA that has really permeated certainly the men's world really well. I really think our ladder program right now is the best it's ever been. Now we're identifying kids that do some things that coaches can't coach earlier. Could we have identified a Toby Ezeonu earlier in his career where he wasn't necessarily a polished volleyball player, but God, with his jump and with his length and his athletic ability, can we get him in and make him a better volleyball player? And I think the coaching in this country can do that. You get kids that have picked their parents pretty wisely, and you get them into those gyms with those coaches and that competition. And I think that's what John has really helped the NTDP program do from day one. So he's done that with just the men's side. I am real excited to see how his personality, he's great at building bridges. He is so darn likable. And you sit there and you want to root for him. And even when you're on the other side of the net, which isn't too healthy, but I think that we're in a great place. I'm real excited to see what USAV does as we lead into LA and how we go from there. But Johnny's the right guy for the right job.
Great call. He's already made some big decisions, and I wanted to get your guys' input on them because I personally have not met Stephen Bishop. He's named the COO of USA Volleyball. I know he comes from the Florida region, has made a ton of excellent just moves down in that region and the growth of the game, as well as bringing on new head coach of the men's team, Karch Karai, and Karch named his staff Luca Slave and Javier Weber. So a lot to comment in on there, but just chime in as you know, and we'll start with you, Pav.
My favorite Karch story. In May of 1982, the very last match of the NCAA season was held here in Rec Hall, where UCLA beat Penn State in 3 after Penn State had upset SC. I was a senior. Remember going through the lines at the end of the match, shaking hands with UCLA guys, and just have it on record now that I'm the one that looked at Karch and said, "You're going to be pretty good, kid." So, but I think he is, again, right person, right time, right job. I think Karch's superpower is learning. He's made mention publicly that, hey, I've got to relearn the men's game. I've been out of it. Man, if you're going to ask anybody to learn something, my vote is Karch Karai in our sport, because he said learning is his superpower. I'm really excited to see what he brings.
Yep. How about you, Hawks?
No, well said. I mean, he's a fierce competitor, and if anybody knows Lucas Labe from his BYU days, Luca is a bulldog, and then you had Javier just with the institutional knowledge that he has from the last quad, and the guys. I know the guys like him, and the defensive schemes that a lot of us are using now are probably from the Javier Weber school. But yeah, I mean, what a great staff. And you spoke on Steve Bishop. I've crossed paths with Steve over the last probably 15 to 20 years, and always a nice guy. I don't know him super well, but excited for him. And if John's hired him, then he's got to be top level for sure.
Yep. Which now moves us to what could be the longest segment here, coaches movement in men's Division I volleyball. Because of that effect of John going to USA Volleyball, that meant there's a vacancy at UCLA, which meant there's a vacancy at Loyola, and then some other coaching staff changes across the nation. But let's start with that one. So John leaves for USA. Another John steps in who's on the screen. And it means Shane Davis heads back to Loyola. And we'll just start with that. Because Pav is smirking, I want him to comment first.
I think one of the disadvantages of being in the men's game is that there's not a whole lot, as it stands today, there's not a whole lot of opportunity to move with the number of schools that we have. But when movement does occur, and those people that get hired, specifically UCLA hiring Hawks, Loyola getting back to Shane, I think it shows to me that the people that are doing the hiring are doing their homework. It's good to see that men's volleyball is being treated as a sport that has something to give to each institution's own campus, and it's not being treated as come into our sandbox and let our boys play around. I think that the men's game is stronger because of the moves that have been made, and certainly wish Hawks all the luck, except for maybe 2-3 matches a year against us. And certainly Shane, welcome back to the men's game, and I think the work that John put in at Loyola is in pretty good hands with Shane.
Yep. Right, Hawks, you can comment on yourself if you want, but
I'm thankful for the opportunity to come back to a school that I love and be with some guys that I cherish deeply. So with that being said, I think the Shane Davis hire was one that Shane was a very active alum for me and somebody who I talked with quite often. So when he got this opportunity, I'm so excited for him, and he's got a new staff in Dalton Solberg and Kyle Exline, who's also an alum there. So I think they're going to work hard, and they've got some great pieces there. I mean, I love those guys, and the administration at Loyola made a great call hiring Shane. So I'm excited.
yeah, Loyola trying to tap into the Hawaii fan base with Dalton Solberg.
Yeah, right.
Well, let's go our next wave here. Robert Poole named head coach at Charleston, the last of the head coaching changes. And I believe Pav has experience with his EIVA counterparts because Luke Campbell goes to Pepperdine as an associate head coach now. But talk about Robert Poole.
The work that Luke did and Robert to move Charleston from where they were over the last 2 years to where they are now was outstanding. And I think Robert is finally in a position to use all the experience that he has gathered over the last 4 or 5 years of his various assistant coaching positions. Brent Stevens, the AD at Charleston, very pro men's volleyball. I think that she wants to have her program develop. I think, they look at Lewis and what Lewis has been able to do, and, position themselves for probably 6, 7, 8 years down the road when I think D2 is going to be in a position to consider adding a Division II championship. So I really like what Robert has done with Luke. And now that we finally got Luke out of the EIVA, we got to now worry about Robert. But I think he's going to continue the work that they put together with Charleston over the last 2 years.
Awesome. Excellent. Hawks, I'm going to have you take on this one here. New head coach is named at LIU, Manhattan College, and and the page isn't up at University of Maryland, East Shore. So I don't have the lady's name.
Anita Brockman.
There you go. So what was the name again, Pav?
Dr. Anita Brockman. She was Central State's head coach.
Yep. So coach name there but they're not, they're going to be in which conference? Is it going to be the NEC then?
Yes,
Because I know there was some discussion there as to where they'd finally land. But Justin Beaumont, head coach at Long Island University, and then Chris Shortgan named first head coach at newly Manhattan College. I believe they're going to be NEC too.
I believe so.
So anything we know about the coaching staffs there? Because they were late ads, even late in the summer. So nope. Well, we will find out. I'll have to have them on to another podcast episode.
Well, you're also missing Jim Palonis at Northern Kentucky and Ryan Perrott, who left PFW to join
Oh,
PAV.
that's right. Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
well,
We've got a year in
Johnny Gleason.
a lot of moves. And you know what? I did see it on social. I didn't think it tabbed in my notes
Yeah.
because like I said, there was a lot that happened within these since May, and trying to track it and get the official statements everywhere, and not just throw things out there, has been hard on the men's side. That's why I'm hoping for the same kind of coverage on the men's side as we've seen in the women's, so we can actually have accurate news here. Um, Another new piece of news, Northern Kentucky to the MIVA. Well, John leaves the MIVA, but I'm sure you were a part of that voting or decision-making process.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's great. And Tim O'Brien, as the commissioner of the MIVA, is always thinking about the ways to grow that conference and make it the best conference in the country for Tim. So I'm excited for Jim to join that group and take over a new program that's close to Ohio State. So it's a nice travel partner for them.
yep. I know Pav's got to run to his celebration, but I got two quick tidbits. Vanguard and Menlo College enter the MPSF John Hawks, well, renew conference, so to speak. What do you guys feel like that's going to do to D1 to volleyball across the nation? MPSF is pretty big now, so they're getting back to the original MPSF size of 11 teams back in the day.
We had 12 actually at one point. Yeah, I think it's exciting. It's great. Brian Rofer leading the Vanguard team, and he was a longtime assistant at UCLA, and then Todd Hollenbeck up at Menlo. I think just Todd's been at USC. He's seen the game at the highest level. So I'm excited to see them join our league and we'll see where it goes.
Pav?
Again, I think anytime we can add to the men's game and we're adding with coaches that have some significant experience, it's just going to drive the bar higher and higher and make it tougher and tougher to get out of conferences. And I think we're going to see more of what we're seeing in the women's game with, the top teams and going up and bringing the rest of them with them. I think we're going to see that. I think we're going to see some pretty good play on the men's side, no matter what gym you walk into over the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah. Well, with that, the the official NCAA Collegiate Men's Volleyball Championship goes to a 9-team format. The NEC now gets their auto berth. They are no longer they can play for that auto berth, which means they'll two at-large teams, 9 total teams play in, and then the opening round. So should be a fun season as we get started here in the next 10 days. And I wanted to give you guys a chance to close us out with any statement, nugget of wisdom, or what have you, as Pav gets ready to go to his championship celebration.
The only thing that I have is, hey, get out there, support your local colleges, ask for more and more of men's volleyball to be streamed for access. And we're in a position now, I think, that we're riding a wave of popularity volleyball is. Certainly the women have shown that. Let's make sure that people understand the men's game is a little bit different, and we have a loyal and steady following with the men's game. Let's make sure that's heard from.
Yep. Johnny?
No, it's exactly where I was going to go, Pal. I think there's so much good volleyball out there around the country that go out there and support these programs and whether it's any level of volleyball from, D1 to D3 and NAIA. I think there's just, and even JC ball, there's just a lot of great stuff going on. And we need more places for these kids to go play. So that's the trouble that I think we're all in right now is thinking about the growth of our game, right? We always talk about it, right? Grow the game, grow the game. We just need more growth at the top level so these guys can go showcase what they got. And I think there's a lot of great coaches out there that can fill these spaces up and give Pav and his team a run for their money.
Well, you can do the easiest thing, which is following not only these gentlemen's teams on social and engaging with them digitally, but definitely let your voice be heard at wherever you're playing. Let them know that there is a demand to see more men's volleyball out there. Penn State head coach Mark Pavlik, UCLA head coach John Hawks, I so appreciate your time and always enjoy our conversations. And I look forward to catching you in person. So it's a good year when I can see Pav twice in a year, and I think I get to do that this year. So Hawks, I just got to drive up 405, and there you are. So
Let's go. All right. Thanks, Rob. Appreciate you.
thanks, you guys.
Thanks,
See you
Rob.
soon, Pav.
Thanks for listening to College Volleyball Weekly. Be sure to follow Rob Espero at the Rob on the Mic on Instagram and at Rob on the Mic on Twitter.